Righto, so we're just heading out today. Absolute glass out, probably should be fishing, but we're out here. We're going to be talking to you a little about the Adaptive Trim Tabs by Dometic. Brand new product. I was meant to be one of the first boats in the country to get it, but because of the build time, ended up pushing a little bit further out. Had the trim tabs on the boat now for about 5 months, so we're just going to go out, going to talk to you a little bit about them, how good they've been on the boat, how useful and how easy they have been to use and install. I've had about 188 hours put on my motor so far. I'd say that I've probably done about 180 of those hours driving. If you had asked me 6 months ago, it's probably something that I wouldn't have said would be used a lot on my boat. I thought I'd only just be doing fine adjustments here and there. But it's, yeah, over the last 6 months, I've proved that completely wrong. And it's probably one of the most used features on my boat since we built it and started using it. So just thought I'd give you guys a quick rundown on, you know, the things I've found about my boat and how the trim tabs have been really effective in fixing a few of those issues. So yeah, let's get into it. First thing, my boat is a rear center console, so a lot of weight is in the back. We've got the roof position at the back, all the seating position at the back, 230 kilo motor on there. So a lot of my weight is in the back, and any weight on the back of your boat throws your boat from side to side or affects the movement of your boat. I mean, this is the first boat I've had, first big boat I've had in, you know, first ever, so not in ever. I've learned all this over the last sort of 6 months, and I'll just explain it to you. So a lot of you guys probably already know these sorts of things, but yeah, any weight at the back of your boat really affects how the boat leans. So you know, an 80-90 kilo person on either side of you really throws your boat from left to right. In the front of the boat, it doesn't have such a big effect, but yeah, in the back, it definitely, that weight on the back and when you're taking off can really throw your boats. Whenever I take someone for a ride, I always have to be on the trim tabs if they're sitting on the left or the right of me. I always try to keep them on the right-hand side because I've got the Pro Access 300 on my boat. It actually throws out heaps of prop torque. I didn't know prop torque was a thing until I got this motor. With the prop torque with this boat, it always throws the boat to the left. As you're taking off, and depending on how fast you're going, the boat will lean to the left, depending on how much torque is going through the water, through the propeller. So if I can have a person on my right-hand side, Brett, for example, I think he's about 85 kilos. I don't really have to touch the trim tabs too much, depending on the conditions. But yeah, an 80-90 kilo person on my right-hand side really helps level that boat out and counteracts the prop torque of the 300. Another thing, I've got a 150 litre water tank in the front of my boat. So with the 150 litre water tank, depending on how full I've got, that also affects it a little bit. If I hadn't known about the prop torque before I built the boat, I probably would have tried to put the battery for the electric motor and the water tank on the right-hand side to sort of counterbalance that. I find that when I'm on my own and I've got no one, I always have to be on the trim tabs just to level that boat out because of that prop torque of the 300. If I didn't have the trim tabs on board, I would be finding it very difficult to drive my boat. The level of safety I feel with the trim tabs on board and using them, especially when you're coming to and from the reef, they're long runs out there, long runs back, and if your boat's not sitting perfectly level and you're going across the swell, into the swell, or even launching off swell, you do not want your boat coming down sideways. It just makes you feel that unsafe, so the fish are going off. If I didn't have the trim tabs, this boat would feel very unsafe to me, but having those trim tabs and able to keep that boat level at all times is massive. Absolutely massive. So another thing I find, I'm always on the trim tabs to do with the weather conditions. So my boat, very good, being a rear center console, my boat's very good into and with the wind. It's beamy at the front and very narrow at the back. It pushes the water a long way. But I find if there's any sort of crosswind or, you know, sort of cross tail or anything like that, this boat is a very wet boat. So very, very wet boat. The trim tabs come in handy massively if you're coming back from the reef and there's spray coming over the side. Just adjusting those trim tabs and keeping that boat a little bit sort of side up to the waves turns this boat into needing your scuba gear just back to standard old snorkel gear. It doesn't keep me completely dry on this boat, but it does help a little bit from buckets to just a light spray coming over the side. It's North Queensland, so it doesn't affect me too badly. Just being wet's just one of those things. I never feel cold at the end of the day, but those people that are down south, if you're looking for a product that can help out reducing the spray coming over the side in those colder climates, definitely look into getting some trim tabs. I built this boat with NQ monohulls over 12 months, 6 months ago. I did the full fit out myself, everything apart from the wiring. I did have a hand in the wiring. I've completely installed the trim tabs myself. Having zero knowledge or zero experience fitting a boat out, the trim tabs is probably one of the easiest things I had to install. Once I made up that plate, the jig that tacked onto the bottom of the boat to keep the plate exactly where they needed to be on both sides, I knew I had it perfect on both sides of the boat. The installation process of the Dometic trim tabs was super easy. If you're looking at buying off the shelf and installing these products yourself, I'd have no worries in anyone just reading the booklet and going through and doing the installation and the setup yourself. Very easy to install, very easy to follow the instructions. From someone who's had zero experience, I didn't find it that bad of a task. I've got the Dometic adaptive trim tab control. So what that means is I've got the whole shot mode set up and the favorites. So the whole shot mode is set up through your sounder, through your rev range. If you're in shallow water, you're fishing your sand flats, your reef flats, in and out of shallow creeks. Whole shot mode is very useful in terms of setting it up so that the tabs are fully extended when you're taking off, and then as the motor goes through the rev range, those tabs will retract back to the original positions. Just less than a meter of water, I can use that whole shot mode. The front stays completely down, you don't lose vision at all, and then you can take off at full speed knowing that your prop, your skeg is all that completely safe in the water. Saves your fuel getting out of the water, gets you on the plane quicker. Whole shot mode's been very, very useful for me in a couple of different situations. Another thing is the favorites. When I'm out doing overnighters or a big camping trip, or I've got the water tank full, having the favorite button there, if you're doing a lot of drifting with your jigging, constantly hitting reverse, just making sure you get your jig drifts right, it retracts the trim tabs back up to their normal positions. It's a safety feature installed in the trim tabs that when you hit your boat into reverse, your tabs will automatically retract. That's for docking and if you're backing down on fish. So for me, if I'm out jigging and I'm setting drift lines and I hit that boat into reverse, my trim tabs will automatically retract. So having the favorite buttons there is super, super easy. You hit the favorites button after you've locked it on, hold it down for a couple of seconds to set your favorite. Whenever I've got my boat fully set up, so after jigging, if we're going from spot to spot, hit the favorite button again, I know my boat's gonna level out. Even if it doesn't completely level out, because the conditions are always different, I know that it's gonna be only 1 or 2 clicks out from being level. So I use the favorite button all the time. Very easy to use, very effective. Stops you taking your hands off the steering wheel or the throttle. In those really bad conditions when you're going to and from the reef, the last thing you want to do is take your hands off the steering wheel or the throttle. That's just your safety thing. You've always got your hands there. I find that the way that Dometic have done their controller, the easiest to use. It's a massive dial, it fits awesomely on your dash. You grab it, you spin it. And once you get to know your boat and how far it's leaning, you can grab it and you can do a massive adjustment at once, knowing that it's gonna pull your boat straight or pretty close to straight. Or if you just want to do it a little bit, you can grab it and just do 1 or 2 turns at a time. So in terms of taking your hand off the throttle to adjust it is very, very easy. I've got LED lights on the screen so I can look down at all times and know exactly where my tabs are, and it's very, very easy to use. If you're looking at fixing any of these issues that you're having with your boat, make sure to check them out. I'll put the link in the description for the Dometic website. Any novices like me, don't be worried about installing them. Very easy, follow the instructions, and it's definitely worth its weight in gold if you're doing long runs to and from the reef. So thanks for watching, guys. I'll be back on the water soon. Cheers. Oh, you kept him?
Yeah, I got another one.
Oh, yeah, God. Oh, watch it. Look at that. Can't bring him anywhere, right?
Know what I'm having for lunch.
Look at that.
Yeah. Nice little tiger squid.
So we're just out here filming for the Dometic trim tabs, and we came in to find a nice little spot. We've done a heap of drone footage and that sort of thing, and yeah, we saw a couple of bits of weed and some squid hanging underneath them. I had the squid jig rigged up in the side pockets of my boat. Brett's ripped it out, chucked it in, 2 squid for lunch straight up.